You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Number one, Silas Demary Jr., the Georgia point guard who we talked about in the first segment. Do you all agree with me on this, or do you disagree with me on this? Do you think that Silas Demary Jr. should be the number one portal target for Syracuse basketball right now? Comment in the comment section below. But at least from my perspective, this is the type of stud transfer that we all should be looking for. If you pair Demary Jr. with Starling in the backcourt, you're cooking. You're cooking with gas. Then you perhaps get another stud wing player, and all of a sudden your starting lineup becomes Silas Demary Jr., JJ Starling, a stud on the wing, Donnie Freeman at the 4. Who knows what they're going to do at center? Maybe it's William Kyle from UCLA, who they already got. Maybe it's another portal addition. Who knows? But the point is that your 1 through 4 is looking really, really good. He is the type of player that could headline a transfer portal class, meaning if Syracuse basketball walks away with Silas Demary Jr. as their number 1 transfer portal get, that is an excellent haul for Syracuse basketball in all likelihood, because he is a really good player. Then you got Malachi Smith, the Dayton point guard. He can pass, he can shoot. He's not a perfect player considering his negative defensive rating last season, but he would certainly be a big improvement at point guard from a year ago. Ideally, Malachi Smith is your second or even third best transfer portal ad that Syracuse basketball would make during this portal cycle. Okay, so we already talked a lot about in the previous segment about Silas Demary Jr. and Malachi Smith, but in my opinion, both are the top 2 targets right now for the Orange in this portal cycle. I think ideally you're only going to get one of them because they're both point guards. Then you got Jacari White from North Dakota State, a shooting guard. He is third on my list as far as players that Syracuse has publicly expressed interest in. White is a career 40.6% three-point shooter on over 5 3-point attempts a game. I don't care that he is coming from the Summit League. If a player can shoot, he can shoot. That translates from mid-major to high major. His Evan Maya defensive rating last year was only a 0.20, so I am not confident that if he were to come to Syracuse, he would be a good defender. However, his shooting prowess makes him a very good target for the Orange in this portal cycle. Ideally, if Syracuse gets a wonderful transfer portal haul, he would be like their third best portal ad. Is that fair to say? Comment your thoughts on Jacari White in the comment section below. I like him, but he is not perfect. He's not necessarily a great defender, certainly an incredible 3-point shooter at a career 40.6% clip from beyond the arc. 3 years in college basketball, by the way. Then you got Amarion Dickerson, and I like Amarion Dickerson, a Robert Morris small forward. He is basically the opposite of Jacari White. Dickerson was the Horizon Defensive Player of the Year in 2025, and the advanced metrics actually back that up, which is a really good thing. Sometimes these voters, as I believe Chris Carlson at Syracuse.com said it best with how they sometimes vote, they'll look at those box score numbers and then they'll just say, oh, you know, he should be on the first team defensive team, or he should be defensive player of the year. But then you actually look a little bit deeper and the metrics don't back it up. Well, in the case of Amarion Dickerson, they do, because he had an Evan Maya defensive rating of 1.72 that would have by far led Syracuse basketball, and it was third best in the Horizon League. So this is someone who is a really good defender, and I do believe that when he goes to a high major program, because trust me, he's going to go to a high major program, his defense will be able to translate to the high major level. However, Amarion Dickerson can't shoot. 27% three-point shooter last year in just about 2 attempts per game. So this is not someone you're going to get to try and space the floor. Dickerson, to me, feels like an improved version of Jair Davis, because Jair Davis, when he was coming from Delaware, was a solid player over at Delaware. I think he was actually Delaware's best player, but not a good shooter. And also his defense was not on the level of Amarion Dickerson. So that's why I say Amarion Dickerson would be a better version of Jair Davis if they get him from the portal. For context, Jair Davis's defensive rating on Evan Maya the year before going to Syracuse was a 0.63. As I said with Amarion Dickerson last year, it was a 1.72. So he is a much better defender. If Amarion Dickerson is your third, or dare I say even your fourth best portal addition in a transfer portal class, that would be outstanding for Syracuse basketball. Then you get into some real depth options for the Orange, okay? First up, you got Del Jones. He is fifth on my list here. He is a Clemson guard, and last year he was a true freshman, only played about 12 minutes per game. The reason he's not last is very simple. He's got some upside. He's only been in college for 1 year. Perhaps he can develop into a really good player in college basketball going forward. In a limited sample, he did have an Evan Maya overall grade of 1.14 and a defensive grade of 0.74. So he's certainly not bad as a low-risk, high-reward type of move. He only shot 31% from the three-point line last year, albeit on about one attempt per game. So this is the type of move I believe you make towards the end of the offseason if a lot of your targets are gone and you need to fill out a roster and you sit here and say, okay, Del Jones, why not give him a whirl? Let's see what he's got, right? Finally, last on ranking the players that I'm interested in, that Syracuse has publicly shown interested in, is Darien Ford from Arkansas State. We talked about Darien Ford a lot on Friday. I'll summarize it for you. This ain't it. This is not the portal ad that we should be looking at. Here's the summary, okay? He can maybe provide a tad bit of offense for Syracuse. He is a career 35% three-point shooter. The year in 2024, he was around 38% from three-point line, which is good. And then last year, he was at about 32%. His career's at about 35%. So that's not bad, okay? The issue with Darien Ford is that he is an atrocious defender. Not a bad defender, not an awful defender, atrocious defender. Evan Maya defensive rating last year of negative 0.9. For context for you all, Chris Bell. We got on Chris Bell a lot here on Locked On Syracuse about his defense because he's not a good defender by any stretch of the imagination, right? Chris Bell. Can you guys take a guess what his defensive rating last year was on Evan Maya? Just take a guess. 0.37. Actually, I should rephrase. Negative 0.37. Chris Bell. And that was at a high major level. A negative 0.37 defender. Darien Ford, negative 0.9. So I'll be honest with you, I have no idea why Syracuse basketball is going after him. Oh, by the way, he's got 1 year of eligibility. So you can't even really argue that, hey, he was a true freshman last year, so maybe he takes a sophomore jump. Maybe like a Del Jones, right? Del Jones was a better player, by the way, last year in limited minutes. I don't get it at all. I'm rooting for the guy, and if they get him, I'll still cheer for him, but I don't see it. This is the type of move that you make in May or in June. If you're looking to fill out a roster, you would maybe have some spare NIL money to spend, but to be honest with you, I would rather shorten up the roster a little bit, roll over the NIL money, than go and get Darien Ford. I don't believe it makes any sense for Syracuse basketball.